good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, the good people of the Tube. Welcome to 2018. Hope you had a great Christmas and a very good New Year, and I hope you didn't overdo it too much. Brave Dave, you're not going to make it to 2019. Okay, welcome to the first Q&A Wednesday of 2018. It's lovely to see you all again. Let's get to question one, shall we? Okay, first question of 2018. Here we go. Are you a fan of Kim Thayil of Soundgarden, and have you ever played a Guild S100? I've never played a Guild S100. I've played a lot of Guilds, but I've never played an S100, unfortunately. Really cool looking guitar though, but I've never actually played one. Maybe in the future, fingers crossed. I really like the look of it. I think they look really cool. And the sound that Kim gets out of his with Soundgarden is just, I don't even know, it's just awesome. It's just absolutely awesome. I love his playing. I love his kind of like, I love his guitar solo as well. It just seems to be literally just kind of like, you know, floor it, I'm just going to play whatever I feel in the moment kind of thing. It's really, really cool. So yeah, I'm a big fan of his guitar playing. I love his sound. His sound is massive. It's really big, fat sound he's got. And, but yeah, I'm a massive fan of his playing. I really do love his guitar playing. He's got a real, like a lot of those Seattle grunge guys, he's got a very kind of like style and sound that's very his own. A lot of his, it's very strange how like the Seattle grunge scene, a lot of the players like, you know, like Kim Thayil and Stone Gossard and Mike McCready and Chris Cornell and, you know, all these guitarists that came out of Seattle around that time, Jerry Cantrell, all had their own sound and style. They all were very individual. You can kind of pick them out, so to say. If you kind of hear them play, you can kind of pick them out. So it's really, so yeah, I really do. I mean, being a grunge nut as well. So yeah, I've got to love him really. I mean, he's just amazing. But I do love his solos. I do love his riff playing. I just love how big his sound was as well. But yeah, massive fan. But yeah, I haven't played a Guild S100. Maybe in the future, fingers crossed, if I come across one. They're quite hard to find, and they're quite expensive now. Thanks to Mr. Kim. It's like Jack White with the airlines. They were cheap, damn you, Jack, before you came along. Anyway, moving on to question 2 now. Okie dokie, do-da-day. I've missed doing videos, I've got to say. I've missed all you lot, especially, more than anything. Okay, so question 2. Let's get to question 2 before I start gushing on camera again. I recently bought a Squier Jag. Yay! And I love it, but I am finding the bridge pickup a bit weedy. Any suggestions on a replacement? I ain't got any suggestions on replacements, but I know what you mean. I had the same issue with this one when I first got it. The like the neck pickup was always really. I'm just turning the reverb down a smidgen. I always found like the neck pickup to be really kind of like overbearing on the bridge pickup, and I was like I always kind of, I didn't find the bridge pickup to kind of stick out so much, and I was a bit like, well, that's not very good. But it was a simple fix. What I did was to simply loosen the pickup screws and bring the pickup up, because the pickup's kind of mounted on like a foam platform. Well, it is on mine anyway. I don't know if that'll differ to anybody else's, but my bridge pickup and my neck pickup are kind of mounted onto foam. There is springs, but they don't really do anything. And basically, as I loosen the springs off, obviously the pickup it rises up. It's not actually kind of like a Telecaster or a Les Paul or a Strat kind of springs, where you loosen them, it actually kind of like, you know, springs up. It just literally lets, like, it only goes up a certain height, the Jag pickup does. So it's on like foam. So what I did, I basically just brought this pickup up and sunk the neck pickup. That's all I did. And just so you know, my bridge pickup, the side kind of like the dog ears, so to say, of the pickup are kind of flush with the scratch plate. So it's not higher than the scratch plate, it's not lower than the scratch plate, it's just kind of flush with the scratch plate. And my neck pickup is very low. I have the actual dog ears literally just below the base of the scratch plate, so you can actually see the cavity on the neck pickup. And that's what I did. It just made it a bit more even across the board with sound. So you got your bridge pickup. more kind of an even sound. So I don't really know anything about replacement Jag pickups. I don't know what would be the best, so I can't really advise on that. I'm sad to say. But what I would say is just kind of like, you know, just alter your pickup height. It's really easy to do. Just be careful of the screws. The pickup mounting screws are made of tin foil. They're absolutely weak as anything. So make sure the screwdriver you've got is really good. I nearly rounded mine out. I just wasn't thinking, basically. But just be careful of the pickup mounting screws. They are very, very fragile. They're so, the metal is so soft. But like I say, that's what I'll simply do is just bring this pickup up as high as, you know, to where you kind of want it, so to say. Like I say, I have mine flush with a pick guard, but bring that one up and lower this one, and it will even out the guitar no end. And it's amazing how much of a millimetre like down or up changes this pickup. If I put this pickup down like a millimetre or even half a millimetre, it's certainly all of a sudden out of whack with this one. It's mad. It really is strange. So just say sync the neck pickup, bring your bridge pickup up, and you'll just get kind of a bit more of a, you know, you'll get a bit more of a kind of you'll get more output, and you know, it'll just be a bit more even across the board, and you can go. You know, it just sounds more even than it gets your neck. It just sounds more even that way. So that's what I would recommend anyway. If you're having kind of like, you know, issues with the weedy pickup, because all of a sudden it becomes less weedy and more big. So yeah, I hope it's answered your question anyway. Like I said, I don't really know about replacement pickups. I love these pickups too much to want to replace them. So. But I'm sure somebody in the comment, a lovely person from the comment section, can chime in and recommend some Jag replacement pickups down there. So yes, let's get on to question 3 now. Okay, so question 3 today is, does the lack of a mid-dial on a CR120's clean channel affect your ability to find tones? I heard Kurt Cobain used a lot of mid-range, and will you struggle to get like a Nirvana kind of clean tone out of the CR120? The lack of a mid-dial does bother me on the CR120. It's kind of like, that's kind of like my pet peeve with the CR120 is the lack of a mid-dial on the clean channel. I would personally love a mid-dial on it, and I would also personally love, like, to me what would make the CR120 the perfect amp, more than anything else, would be to have 2 dirty channels, but one dirty channel to be as it is now, and the other dirty channel to kind of like have enough gain just to kind of break up the clean. So say like, you know, have a clean channel where it's voiced on the gain, so all the way up is like 4 on the gain as it is now. I hope that makes sense, if you know what I mean. Because the clean channel on the CR120 is nice, but it is it's not as versatile as the dirty channel at all. And I definitely understand what you mean about the mid dial. But I spoke to Orange about that when I first got the amp. I was like saying, there's no mid-range dial, you know, have you ever thought about doing that? And they say basically, the lower the treble, the more mids the amp has. As you kind of start boosting the treble, it scoops out the mids. And that's really cool. So basically, if you keep it super low, then you've got more mids. But that doesn't make the clean channel particularly versatile, because you can't then mix mid with treble. Yeah, you either get one or you get the other, and that's my pet peeve with the CR120. I love the amp to pieces, but it's because of the dirty channel, the reverb, and the sound of the dirty, and how versatile the dirty channel is. I mean, to me, the CR120, I don't really ever use the clean channel. The CR120 is a single channel amp to me. I use the dirty channel only. And like I say, my perfect CR120 would, like I say, would be 2 dirty channels, with one kind of like, you know, being high gain, one being like low gain. But yeah, I understand totally. I mean, I've spoke to a couple of people who have said that about a clean channel as well. I wish it had a mid-range dial, and I'm one of them. It would just make it a lot more versatile if it did have a mid-range dial. I remember playing the Rockerverb Mark II. Is it the Mark II? That's got I think it's the Mark II Rockerverb that Orange very kindly sent me. It had a mid-range on the clean channel, and it was just infinitely better to have that mid-range there. And you know, I just miss it. I just miss it on there. It'd be really cool. Also, I feel that it would be really nice to have a presence dial, because sometimes treble can be a bit harsh. I find presence is a little bit nicer than treble, so that'd be kind of a nice thing. But, you know, but like I say, I mean, the thing that would make the CL120 perfect would be to kind of, like I say, have two dirty channels. It's just a lot. The dirty channel is just like, there's just nothing you can't get out of a dirty channel of the CL120. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, the clean channel is good, and you can still get a really nice kind of sounds out of it, and really nice kind of clean sounds. But they are super clean, and it is a little bit limiting on what you can and cannot do with it. That's an extremely loud moped. It runs on beans, HP. Anyway, yeah, that's what I would say. I mean, that's my kind of pet peeve on it. You can get a Kurt-esque kind of clean tone out of it, but you have to run the bass quite high and run the volume all the way up. The breakup on the clean channel is really nice, but it would just, I reckon it would benefit more from having a gain dial and a volume, so you can kind of like do that. But it'd be really nice to have like a gain dial on there and a mid-range dial and maybe a presence as well. But maybe I'm asking too much. I don't know. But yeah, you can get kind of Kurt-esque kind of stuff out of it. I mean, if I quickly, let's do something quick. So if I crank the volume all the way up, this is just treble and bass on 0. This is the volume. Oh, hang on a sec. So you can kind of hear that. It's a bit thin. Put the bass up to about 3. It's pretty kind of Nirvana-y. Kind of. Bit too much bass, maybe. Bass on 2. You kind of hear the mids there, but like I say, if I start putting the treble in, if I put the treble to half, all of a sudden the mids are gone, it's scooped out. You know, you can hear it gets a bit more scoopy and a bit more harsh. So yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. It's a lovely clean channel on the CL120. It's just not as versatile as it could be, in my opinion. Like I say, it's definitely my kind of like pet peeve on the CL120. But you know, a mid-range dial would add so much more. But anyway, yeah, I hope it's answered your question on that one, but I totally understand what you mean by that. It would be nice if I had a mid-range dial. Did you see that? That's reactions of a dead cat, everybody. Okay, moving on to question 4 now. Yes, question 4. Okie dokie, so question 4 today. Will you ever get a mic to record your videos? Okie dokie, so let me try and explain this. I get asked this a lot. I get asked, you know, when are you going to get a mic on the cab? You know, why do you not mic up and this, that, and the other? I'm not totally against micing up my cab for videos, but my problem is, how to word it? It's difficult to word, but if I was to mic up this cab, say on this speaker cone, because it's the furthest out of the way of me, I won't be knocking it, it won't be in the way of me or anything like that, all you're ever going to hear is that's one speaker. And that kind of bothers me, because I love the sound of 412s or a 212. I don't like single 12 combos or cabs, really. I'm not, you know, if I can have a 412 or a 212, I'll have that over a 112 any day of the week. So if I was to mic up, all you'll hear is this one speaker. You won't hear how all 4 are interacting in the room. You'll just hear that one speaker, how it's interacting with the microphone, into the interface, into the thing I'm recording it through, and you'll get this kind of like single speaker sound. Whereas, what you're hearing at this point in time, if I hit an E chord, that sound you're hearing there is all these speakers working together with the room sound coming straight at the camera mic. Everything's positioned in this room. I spent a lot of time doing this. Everything's in this room is positioned, like where I'm stood out the way of the cab, so the camera picks up all 4 speakers. And it sounds bizarre, but where the camera is right now and where this cab is, they are perfectly, like, the camera mic is literally aimed here. It's literally aimed right there, which is kind of literally mid-ground between all speakers. So, and that took a lot of time to find where all these cabs need to go and where the camera needs to go to get the sound. And I can guarantee you, I promise you, that what you're hearing through the camera mic is not a million miles off what it sounds like in the room. And also, like I say, because it's picking up all the surrounding kind of things of the room, like, you know, it bouncing off the walls or this and the other. I mean, I'm only in a tiny room, but the sound is just a lot more pleasing to me, and it does sound like what it sounds like in the room. I know it probably sounds like a Get Out, like, you know, because he's lazy, he just can't be bothered to mic up. It's not that at all. It is really a case of the camera is picking up the room and the sound of this cab interacting with the room. It's not the sound of that speaker interacting with a microphone, and then you're hearing an approximation of that because it's gone through certain digital processing. What you're hearing is a direct sound from this cab into the camera microphone to you. You know, I'm not using compression I'm not using compression or EQ. It's literally coming straight into the camera. Obviously, the camera will compress it, the audio will compress, and then when it gets uploaded to YouTube, it will compress as well a bit more. But it's not a million miles away from what it sounds like in the room. Yeah, I totally understand the downside is sometimes you can hear my guitar, like the acoustic sound of my guitar, or me moving about, or clicking on pedals. But I quite like that. And also, the way I like to do my videos is I don't like to do a lot of editing. I like them to be kind of like, you know, very kind of like, you know, straight down the line. I don't want to have to kind of like, you know, keep cutting away to things of me playing and then cut back. I want it to be kind of like, you know, fairly, my mood will kind of like take me in different places, and I want to be able to capture that when I can. Like, a lot of people are saying, well, you never, you know, when I do the Untitled, why do I never mic up? It's because with the Untitled, I haven't got the time to do that. My Untitleds are written by me either coming in here or going somewhere else with an amp, and I'll literally hit record on the looper and just play the first thing that comes to mind, and then if I like the backing track, I will literally press stop once I've finished doing that, set the camera up, press record, come back, click on whatever pedal I feel like, and then just play over the top. And that was what happened at the beginning of this video. That's exactly what happened there. And if I was to kind of like have to set up microphones and recording software and press record on that and do a clap so I can sync it all up, it would kind of detract my brain from doing that, if you know what I mean. It would kind of like detract from, like, I'd be thinking more about, like, you know, what I'm recording other than what I'm playing, and it kind of like take me out of that zone, so to say, in my head. So that's one of the reasons I don't mic up my Untitled. It's one of the reasons I don't really mic up my videos. I am planning to get a new camera soon, but it still will never be close mic'd. I'm not a fan of close micing cabinets. I always have, when I record or play live, the mic is always about a foot away from the cabinet. There's something about close micing cabinets. It gets my goat. I don't like the sound of it. I like the darker sound of the mic being further away. But I want you to be able to hear the room sound. I don't want you to hear just that speaker. I want you to hear the way all these 4 speakers are interacting in this room. Because I just feel that's a better... it just sounds better to me than just... I have done a video where I mic'd up this cabinet and I synced it all together, and I just didn't like it. I will do a video one day just to show you kind of like the difference between, like, you know, I'll mic it up and I'll show you the sound of that, and then I'll show you just the camera audio and see which one you prefer. But I personally don't like it. It just sounded really sterile. it didn't pick up like the... There's like a slight kind of almost slapbacky delay in here, which is quite... I don't know if you can hear that, but it's not a totally dead room, and I like that, and it just gives the sound room to breathe. And like I say, and it gives me that ability to be a bit more spontaneous with my videos. I don't have to keep cutting backwards and forwards between kind of things. If I just kind of want to go a bit, like, you know, mental, it's kind of... You know, it gives me the ability to do just that on the spot if I want to, kind of thing. Whereas, you know, if I wasn't recording that, I'd have to kind of like go back and edit it and all this kind of other. You know, I hope this isn't coming across as like, you know, I'm being lazy with it. It's just the sound that I hear in here is best approximated through the camera's audio, and that probably sounds total nonsense to people out there, and I totally understand that. But honest to you, I promise to you, the sound you hear is a very close approximation to what it sounds like in this room. You're not going to get the exact feel, because this thing kicks out a lot of air, it moves a lot of stuff, because it's obviously got 4 speakers, but the sound is very, very close. It really is, I promise, I am not... Yeah, I think I've rambled on enough about that anyway, but yeah, like I say, I mean, soon I will be getting... I'm going to get another camera soon that's got another mic that's specifically designed to pick up music. So, you know, that will kind of like, you know, it might not be able to be any different, but we will see. But I don't want to mic up the cab. If I was just using like a 112, then yeah, I probably would. But I like this cab with these 4 speakers. That's the sound I want you to hear, not that speaker or that speaker or that speaker or that speaker alone. I want you to hear them all and how they all interact in this room. So that's why I don't mic up. That's why I just use the camera audio. And like I say, it just gives me that ability to be a bit more spontaneous with the video as well. I can just kind of do... If I wanted to just break into kind of like just doing a loop, if something came to mind and I just wanted to do a loop quickly, then I can do that without having to kind of like go, oh, did it record, did it this, that and the other, you know. And the last thing I want to do is record and like the audio to crash and I don't have any audio or something like that. So, you know, I hope it doesn't come across as, like I say, there's been a lazy video maker. I'm not trying to be lazy. I put a lot of effort and a lot of kind of hours into kind of making these videos. It's just the fact I just don't like the sound. I just find it very kind of like I say, very boxy. I'm not going to name names, but some YouTube videos sometimes you've got that weird silence when people play, and it can sometimes sound a little bit sterile and a little bit boxy, and there's no room noise. And I like to hear room noise, because like I said, in this room is kind of like this. It's not totally dead. This room's kind of it's got a little liver kind of sound, and I like that. So it's and like I say, where the camera is positioned to the cab, you are literally hearing what noise is coming from here. So by the time it reaches you out there, it's kind of like, you know, they've all kind of like, you know, all the sounds kind of come together. And like I said, that took a lot of time to get, you know, the camera in the right place to the cab, and a lot of moving the cabs about and a lot of moving the camera about on the tripod to find, and also the height of the tripod and all sorts of other stuff, and where I need to stand. And sometimes I'll stand here and it kind of like, you know, muffles these speakers, and I try and keep out the way. But yeah, that took a lot of time to get that kind of right. But I do promise you that the sound you hear on my videos is very, 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 very close to what it sounds like in this room. I promise. But like I say, I will not be close micing the cabinet, but I will be micing the room, so you hear how the cabinet interacts with the sound in the room, and all 4 speakers interact with each other. So yeah, anyway, I hope that's answered your question. I hope that's kind of like, you know, answer that question too, as why I don't mic up my cabinets for videos and whatnot as well. Like I said, I'm not lazy. I just don't. To me, the sound is not very pleasing. I have done a video, like I said, with miking up, and I just didn't like it. It grated on me. It just sounded boxy and sterile. I just didn't like it. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to question 5 now. Okay, so question 5. What's my opinions on running the guitar through bass amp? Are there any detriments, and how does it affect tone? I really like running guitar through, well, certain bass amps. I did recently try my guitar through the Orange Terra bass, and that didn't sound very nice. It sounded really nasty and shrill. But one of my all-time favourite amps in the world is the Marshall Super Bass, the Plexi. That's one of my all-time favourite amps. It's just, there's something very special about the super bass. Like the one I borrowed was nice, but the one I used to play through at Old Hat, it was a '68 super bass plexi panel one. It was just otherworldly, awesome sounding amplifier. But that's one of my favourite amps is that, and also I demoed recently about a couple months ago, the Gallion Kruger backline 75 watt bass amp, and that's an amazing guitar amp. That is an amazing, awesome guitar amp. So there are certain detriments to running guitar through a bass amp. You've got to be careful of speakers, and especially loud volume. Bass amps obviously have different kind of, certain frequencies, especially if the bass amp's really powerful. You don't want to be running a 1,000 watt bass amp into a 100 watt Marshall cab. You're just gonna, you're gonna end up in trouble. Also, there's certain issues with ohms as well, because bass cabs normally run a kind of 4 or 8 ohm, and it's certain things. It can be a bit of a minefield in the ohm department. Ohm. Welcome to the cult of ohm. Anyway, I forgot where I was for a second. Okay, but yeah, running guitar through bass amps can be really cool. Fender Bassman, that's the iconic one. The Fender Bassman is a guitarist running through a Fender Bassman and going, "Whoa, what the monkeys is that?" So yeah, I mean, I would recommend trying it to any guitarist. It's just good fun, and and also trying bass effects on guitar, like bass octave dividers and bass overdrives and envelope filters and all sorts of stuff like that. Can be awesome for guitar. Can be absolutely awesome for guitar. It's so much fun what you can do with bass effects with a guitar, and vice versa. You can do really cool things with guitar stuff with a bass, it's just really cool. It's just like wah on bass. I've always loved the sound of wah on bass, like Cliff Burton and Hooma Bell Tolls and stuff like that. It's just really cool. So and distortion on bass is just like Lemmy's distortion on bass is like, yes, awesome. But yeah, I would definitely recommend trying guitar through bass amps, especially if, like I say, if it's like a super bass Marshall or the Fender Bassman or something like that. Or and also like I said, those Gallion and Kruger amps are brilliant guitar amps, absolutely brilliant. Those bass amps are amazing guitar amps. Sounds really weird, but they really are. So there are problems. It just depends on what the sound you're after. Certain frequencies, like bass, for instance, are over accentuated. So you just get, if you use the bass dial on a bass amp, it does tend to get a bit flubby, and you've got to be careful with that, especially at high volumes. It can just be this like massive thump kind of sound, which isn't particularly very pleasant. But it is good fun, and it's definitely worth messing about with. Definitely, it's really cool. So I hope it's answered your question. I'm going to move on to question 6 now. Last question of the first Q&A Wednesday of 2018. Okay, so question 6 today. The person who asked this said it was a bit of a dark question, and it kind of is, but not really. I really understand this question, and I get it. Question 6 is, did I ever have any problems with alcohol or anything like that dealing with my mental health issue? You mentioned you're having issues with it at this point in time. Luckily, I have to say I didn't. I don't drink though. I don't. I literally have no interest in drinking and anything like that. I've just got no interest in it at all. I don't want anything that's detrimental to me playing this. I just don't want anything like that in the way of this. Nothing kind of gets in the way of that, so to say. So I stopped drinking a long time ago. I just felt like I just don't need that. But to deal with mental health, yeah, I totally understand. It has come across my mind at some points when I've been at kind of like a low ebb, so to say, of like, just do that. but you know, it might take it away. But the problem with drinking or drug abuse or whatever, when you have a mental health issue, is you are not you're not going after the source of why you feel that way. You're going after the symptom at that point in time. If you're out and about and you're anxious and you have a drink to calm yourself, like an alcoholic drink to calm yourself down, you're just treating the symptom. You're not treating the cause. It's not helping you. You know, you can't just keep numbing yourself out every time that comes along, because it's just going to be destructive to you in the long run. You've got to be really careful, because it's like a rabbit hole. Alcohol and drug abuse, when you have a mental health issue, it's a rabbit hole. Once you jump down it and start going after it, the likelihood of you coming out unscathed is very, very slim. You know, something's going to happen along the line that's going to affect you one way or the other, or affect people around you one way or the other. And like I say, it's only treating the symptoms, not the cause. You know, it's like chopping a weed off in your garden. Like, if you chop a weed off, it will just grow back. Because all you're doing is just chopping off a bit you can see. You're not dealing with the roots. And that's the same thing with mental health. You've got to go deep and find why you're feeling that, and you've got to find a way of dealing with it. And that isn't always easy or even an option. Sometimes it can take years for you to come to terms with why you feel that way and what it is. But it's not a good thing to be drinking or drug abuse or anything like that if you have a mental health issue. It will weaken your mental state more. You have to be really, really careful, because your mental health, if you have a mental health issue, your mental health, it bounces on a knife edge. It's like this plectrum. You know, if I put that on my finger like that and hold it like that, you know, if I let it go, it's just going to fall. And it is that easy. It really is that easy. I mean, that's a weird kind of way of saying it, but it is as simple as that. You know, if you've got mental health issues, your capacity, it does hang on a knife edge. You've got to be so careful. And alcohol and drug addiction, drug abuse, is not the answer to it. You've got to kind of, like, you know, dig deep and find. I know this is easy. The thing about what I'm saying is this is a lot easier for me to say than it is to do. And I totally understand that. 100%. It's very easy for me to stand there and say, don't do it, it's not a very good idea, and if you do it, you need to stop it. But actually stopping it is another thing altogether. And I know how hard that is. I really do, I promise. But you really do. You need to find a clarity in your head and in here to be able to kind of, like, fight it. You can't heal yourself from a mental health issue by muddying the waters. You need to be clear. You need to see it for what it is, and then you need to make peace with what it is and just find a way to coexist. Because once you've got a mental health issue, it will be with you for the rest of your life in one capacity or another. It will never go. It will weaken over time as you kind of learn to deal with it and live with it, but it will always be there, because it affects you so much. It scars you. It rewires you. There's that classic line of, you know, if you get a bit of paper, scrunch it up, yeah, and then you fold it back out. It's like, you know, try and get the creases out. No amount of pressing that down is going to get those creases out. They're there forever now. That's it. And that's the same thing with a mental health issue. And basically, alcohol and drugs and stuff like that, to escape those symptoms of feeling anxious or like you're losing your mind or you're going insane, is just by trying to put it's like trying to iron this out. You're never going to iron it out. It's never going to be perfect again. This piece of paper is never ever going to be perfectly flat and neat like it was when it first came out. You know, that's it. The damage is done. And that's the same thing with us and our minds and our brains. We can't rewire once we're wired a certain way. We just have to learn to coexist with it. So, and like I say, doing alcohol and drugs is just going to muddy those waters. And like I say, you need to be clear. You need to know. You need to be able to focus on what the issues are. And you need to talk to people about it. You need to talk to family. If they're not going to talk to you, talk to your friends. If they're not going to talk to you, seek out a doctor or a counsellor. Someone you can unload this stuff on. You need to get it out of you. If it sits in you, it just eats you alive. You need to get it out. So, like what I would say, I mean, like you say, you're having issues with it at this point in time. Just, you've got to dig deep and find inner strength to kind of like, go, right, I can't do this because it's just going to make me worse. Because it will make you worse. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I've heard stories. I've seen people fall with it. It's just horrendous. It really is. So it's just be careful. Please, really be careful. Anybody who's going through mental health issues, please be careful with yourself and just find someone to talk with. You need to talk. You really do. It's so important to talk and unload what you feel. And if people don't want to hear, fine. Screw them. Go and talk to somebody who will listen to you. It's important to have people around you who understand and who are there for you. And if they're not there for you, you can't have that near you. It's detrimental to your mental health issue. It's not good for you. And anybody who says it's weak, or you're being weak, or you're not this, that and the other, is lying through their teeth. And I don't have enough anger in the world to express my anger at people who say that stuff. Because I've had it said to me, and it drives me mad. So, like in your question, I've never had a problem with alcohol or drugs through my mental health issue, but I understand that people do, but it's not a helpful thing. Like I say, you're treating the symptom, not the cause. You need to go after the roots, not the bit you can see, the roots. Why do you feel that way? And you need to come to terms with why you feel that way, and just make a peace with it. Because that's the only way you're ever going to get on. You can't live in fear of it. You're making it happen. We make this happen. We do, not necessarily directly. I didn't ask to be this. I didn't ask for my mental health issue. It was. I didn't ask for my mental health issue. I got it forced upon me through certain people. They forced it upon me, as well as a lot of you out there. I know for a fact it was forced upon you. But we're the ones who keep it in our minds. Whereas what we can do is we're always going to have it, but we can coexist with it and we can live with it. There is a way, but it's hard and it's tiring and it's exhausting and it's just horrible sometimes. And some days you're going to lose to it. Some days it's going to win. And some days you're going to win. And some days no one's going to win. But you can't give up just because of those reasons. And you can't just, like I say, you can't just keep treating the symptom, No, mental health is just one of those things, it's just so overlooked. It really upsets me, it really does. I hate hearing people going through it. I really do, because I know exactly how you feel, and I know exactly how horrible it is, and how hard it is to deal with, and it really is difficult. It really is hard, and it's important to just, it's important to talk about it candidly. It really is important to kind of like, be very open about it to the right people. You will find the wrong people will do silly things with that knowledge, but those people aren't worth a damn. If they're going to take advantage of your mental health issue, then it says a lot about them. And it doesn't say anything good about them, to say the least. But, like I say, resorting to alcohol and drugs is not the answer to getting over your mental health issue. It's really not. Like I say, we have it forced upon us most of the time, and we choose to let it rule us if we let it, if you know what I mean. You can find a way to coexist with it where you can go, I'm not going to take this, I'm not going to stand for this, I'm not letting this dictate what I can and cannot do with my life. I'm going to get on with it. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yes, I'm going to lose. Sometimes I'm going to win. It's going to be horrible, but I'm not letting it do this. I'm not letting it run my life. You know, so just try your best to kind of like, you know, to resort to drinking, you know, and doing that, and just try and find somebody to talk to just like I say, to unload and just help you. More than anything, you really need that. It is really, really important to just kind of like, you know, to get inside get what's inside you out. It's really important to do that. You can't, I can't express that enough, because it's kind of like, you know, it's always been that thing of like, you know, if you like that now, just, you know, keep your mouth shut and get on with it. And there's not a cure. That's when people go to the tops of the buildings and don't come back down, is when they're told that. You know, that's what happens there. That's when they, you know, that's when the dark stuff happens, is when they're told it's like, you know, you're making it more of an issue than it is. No, it is an issue. It's a big issue. But anyway, I don't want to ramble any more on about that, because I'll be on it for hours and hours and hours. But like I say, just be careful. Please be careful. I don't like hearing that, like, you know, that's an issue for you. It's just horrible. It really is. So, like I say, it's easy for me to stand here, and say, like, you know, you need to stop drinking. Period. It's not a cure. You just, you know, this anyway. But yeah, it's easy for me to stand here and say that, because I know it's easy. But it is the key. You need to find that ability to coexist, and you can coexist with it. But like I say, you will lose, you will win. It is that thing. But like I say, that's I hope that's answered your question. Anyway, that's the last question of today. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Yeah, sorry, I got a bit deep at the end now. I do apologise how deep that went, but as I say, I really do hope that answers your question. And I say, it is really important kind of like to talk about mental health issues, and I know a lot of you out there have mental health issues, and it really is important to talk about it and not be shy or embarrassed by it, because it's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's horrible, it's scary, it's just not very nice, and it's a battle every day, and it's some of the strongest people in the world deal with mental health on a daily basis. You're not weak if you have a mental health issue. If you're around and you have a mental health issue and you've had it for years, you're one of the strongest people in the world, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah. But yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Got a bit deep for the first video of 2018, but I'll see you again on Friday. I have a very, very, very awesome guitar test demo for you on Friday. I think you're going to like it. I hope you're going to like it anyway. And yeah, I'll see you again for another video on Friday. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. Goodbye now.